I'm 76 years old, and I'm going to tell you something that might make you uncomfortable. When my wife died, after 12 years of Alzheimer's, I felt relieved. Not sad, not devastated, relieved. And if you think that makes me a monster, stay with me. Because what I'm about to tell you about love, about marriage, about what it really means to stand by someone, it's nothing like what they told you. Nothing like what I believed for 48 years of marriage. Everyone talks about the person with the disease, the tragedy of forgetting, the cruelty of losing your mind piece by piece. Nobody talks about what happens to the one left behind, the one who remembers everything, the one who becomes a ghost in their own life, while everyone watches the other person disappear. I was that ghost for 12 years. And I learned more about love in those 12 years than in the 36 that came before them. Let me tell you who I was before. I was an engineer. 41 years at the same company, designing heating and cooling systems for commercial buildings. I liked problems that had solutions. I liked numbers that added up. I liked knowing that if you did everything right, things worked the way they were supposed to. Eleanor and I got married in 1976, June 14th. She wore her mother's dress, and I sweated through my rental tuxedo because the church didn't have air conditioning. I remember thinking I was the luckiest man alive. We were a good team. That's what I always called us, a good team. I went to work. She raised our son Daniel, kept the house running, volunteered at the church. When Daniel left for college, she got her real estate license, sold houses for 15 years. She was better at it than I ever was at engineering. People trusted her. She remembered their kids' names, their dogs' names, what color they said they hated but actually loved. She remembered everything. That's the cruel part, isn't it? The ones with the best memories, they're the ones who lose them. We had plans for retirement. We were going to travel, see the Grand Canyon, take a cruise to Alaska, visit Daniel and the grandkids in Seattle more than once a year. I had spreadsheets, I had budgets, I had a timeline. God laughs at timelines. The first sign was so small I almost missed it. November 2008. Eleanor was making her famous beef stew, the one she'd made 1,000 times, the one she didn't need a recipe for. And she stopped in the middle of the kitchen and looked at me with this expression I'd never seen before. "Tommy," she said, "what comes after the onions?" I laughed. I actually laughed. Told her she was just tired. But she wasn't tired. Over the next 6 months, there were more moments like that. She'd forget where she put her keys. Normal enough. But then she forgot what keys were for. She'd hold them in her hand and stare at them like artifacts from another civilization. She got lost coming home from the grocery store, the same grocery store she'd driven to for 32 years. I found her at 11 p.m., 4 miles from our house, pulled over on the side of the road, crying. She couldn't remember how to get home. She couldn't remember our address. The diagnosis came in April 2009, early onset Alzheimer's. She was 62 years old. The doctor explained what would happen, the stages, the progression, the timeline. There was that word again, but this time it wasn't something I could control. This timeline was going to control me. "How long?" I asked. "Could be 5 years, could be 15. Every case is different." It was 12 years, 4 months, and 17 days. I counted every single one. Here's the lie they tell you about caregiving. They tell you it's noble. They tell you it's a beautiful act of love. They tell you that in sickness and in health, is the most romantic thing you can promise someone. They don't tell you that you will lose yourself. They don't tell you that you will become so invisible, so erased, that you'll start to wonder if you ever existed at all. They don't tell you about the anger, the resentment, the moments when you look at the person you swore to love forever and feel nothing but exhaustion, nothing but the desperate wish that it would just be over. They don't tell you about the guilt that comes after those moments, the shame that eats you alive at 3 a.m. when you're lying awake next to someone who doesn't know your name anymore. I stopped being Thomas somewhere around year 3. I became the caregiver. That's all anyone saw. That's all I saw when I looked in the mirror. Not a man, not a husband, not a person with his own needs, his own fears, his own grief. Just a function, a role, a machine that dispensed medications and changed sheets and answered the same questions 400 times a day. Where are we? Home, Eleanor, we're home. Where are we? Home. Where's Tommy? I'm Tommy. I'm right here. No, you're not. I want Tommy. That one broke me. Every single time she'd look at me, this man she'd slept next to for 40 years, and she didn't see me. She saw a stranger, sometimes a kind stranger, sometimes a threatening one, but never her husband, never me. People ask what Alzheimer's is like. It's like watching someone drown in slow motion for 12 years, and you can't save them. You can only hold their hand while the water rises. First, she forgot the little things, appointments, conversations, what day it was. Then she forgot the medium things, how to cook, how to drive, how to use the phone. Then she forgot our son's face. Daniel flew in from Seattle when I called him. He walked into the room and Eleanor smiled at him politely, the way you smile at a nice young man at church. "Mom," he said, "it's me. It's Danny." She looked at me for help. "Who is this?" I watched my son's face crumble. I watched a 43-year-old man become a little boy again, wanting his mother, and his mother couldn't find him. That night, after Daniel went to bed in the guest room, I sat in the garage with the car running. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought about it. Just sitting there, just letting the garage fill up, just being done. I didn't do it. Obviously. I'm standing here, aren't I? But I thought about it, and I need you to know that, because if you're caring for someone right now, and you've had that thought, you are not a monster. You are a human being who has been pushed past the breaking point. And the fact that you're still here, still trying, still showing up every day, that's not weakness for having the thought. That's strength for not giving into it. The hardest part wasn't the diapers. People always think it's the physical stuff, the bathing, the feeding, the cleaning up accidents. And yes, that's hard. It's humiliating for both of you. It's exhausting. It never ends. But the hardest part was the loneliness. I was with her every minute of every day, and I was completely alone. My friends stopped coming around. At first they visited, brought casseroles, offered to help, said all the right things, but people don't know what to do with suffering that doesn't end. Suffering that just goes on and on, with no resolution, no improvement, no light at the end of the tunnel. So they stopped calling, stopped visiting, stopped inviting me to things because they knew I couldn't leave her. My world shrank to the size of our house, then to the size of our bedroom, then to the size of her hospital bed in what used to be the dining room. I talked to her anyway, every day, even when she couldn't respond, even when she didn't know I was there. I'd tell her about the weather, about the birds at the feeder, about the news. I'd tell her I loved her. She never said it back, not in the last 4 years. But here's the thing, and this is the part they don't tell you. You don't stop loving someone just because they stop loving you back. You don't stop loving someone just because they don't know who you are. Love isn't a transaction. It isn't, I'll give you this if you give me that. Real love, the kind that lasts, is a gift you give without any expectation of return. I learned that at 67 years old. I learned that holding the hand of a woman who thought I was a stranger. I learned that wiping food from the chin of someone who used to read me poetry in bed. I learned what in sickness and in health actually means. It doesn't mean it's going to be beautiful. It doesn't mean you're going to feel noble. It means you show up anyway. Eleanor died on August 23rd, 2021. It was a Tuesday, around 4 in the afternoon. The hospice nurse had told me it would be soon. She'd stopped eating 3 days before, stopped taking water, started that breathing they call the death rattle, because even dying has to sound as terrible as it feels. I was holding her hand. I was always holding her hand. And then she wasn't breathing anymore. And my first thought, God forgive. My first thought was, it's over. Not I love you. Not goodbye. It's over. The relief hit me like a wave, like I'd been holding my breath underwater for 12 years and finally broke the surface. I could breathe. I could sleep through the night. I could walk out the front door without arranging coverage. I could exist as a person again. And right behind the relief came the guilt. What kind of man feels relieved that his wife is dead? What kind of husband counts her death as a blessing? I sat there holding her hand, her still warm hand, and I cried. Not because she was gone, because I was glad she was gone. And what did that say about me? Here's what I've learned in the 5 years since. That relief? It wasn't a betrayal. It wasn't proof that I didn't love her. It was proof that I did. Because here's the truth nobody wants to say. Eleanor died years before her heart stopped. The woman I married, her humor, her curiosity, her way of humming while she cooked, her laugh that sounded like bells, that woman was gone long before August 2021. I'd been grieving for 12 years. I'd been saying goodbye in pieces, losing her inch by inch, memory by memory, until all that was left was a body that breathed and blinked and didn't know my name. The relief I felt wasn't relief that Eleanor was dead. It was relief that her suffering was over. Relief that the shell of her was finally at peace. And yes, relief that my suffering was over too. That's not shameful. That's human. You can love someone completely and still be exhausted by their care. You can grieve someone deeply and still be grateful when the pain ends. Both things can be true. Both things are true. If you're a caregiver, I need you to hear this. Your needs matter. Your exhaustion is real. Your grief is valid, even while they're still alive. Especially while they're still alive. Anticipatory grief, they call it. Grieving someone before they're gone. It's real. It's brutal. And nobody prepares you for it. Let me tell you what I wish I'd known. Accept help. I didn't. I thought asking for help was weakness. I thought it meant I'd failed her. I was wrong. The neighbor who offered to sit with Eleanor while I went to the doctor? I should have said yes. The church group that wanted to bring meals? I should have said yes. The support group Daniel kept sending me links to? I should have gone. You cannot pour from an empty cup. I know that's a cliche. I know it's on coffee mugs and inspirational posters. But it's also true. You will destroy yourself trying to give what you don't have. Find one person who will listen, not to help, not to fix, just to hear you, to let you say the ugly things. I resent her. I wish this was over. I don't know who I am anymore. Without judgment, without trying to make it better. Everyone needs a witness. Forgive yourself for the anger, for the impatience, for the moments when you snapped, when you walked away, when you couldn't be the saint they expect caregivers to be. You are not a saint. You are not a martyr. You are a person doing something impossibly hard with almost no support. Forgive yourself for being human. And this is the most important one. Don't forget that the person you're caring for is still in there somewhere, even at the end, even when they don't know you. There were moments, little flickers, when Eleanor would look at me with something like recognition. Not knowledge exactly, not memory, but something, some part of her that knew she was safe with me, that knew she was loved. Those moments kept me alive. Here's how I live now. I wake up when I want to wake up. I eat meals at the table like a civilized person. I read books that have nothing to do with Alzheimer's. I joined that support group, finally, the one for people who've lost someone to dementia. I should have joined years ago. I visit Daniel and the grandkids 3 times a year now, sometimes more. I have time now. I still talk to Eleanor. Every morning I say good morning to her picture on the mantle. Every night I say good night. I tell her about the birds, about the weather, about the news, old habits. But here's the thing, I also talk to myself now. For 12 years I forgot I existed. I was so focused on what she needed, who she was becoming, what she was losing, that I vanished. I'm finding my way back. At 76 years old, I'm learning who I am when I'm not taking care of someone else. It's strange. It's uncomfortable. Some days it's lonely in a different way than before. But I'm here. I'm still here. If you're caring for someone right now, a parent, a spouse, a sibling, a friend, I want you to know something. What you're doing is harder than anyone who hasn't done it can possibly understand, and you're allowed to struggle. You're allowed to grieve. You're allowed to be angry at the unfairness of it, to be exhausted by the relentlessness of it, to wish in your darkest moments that it was over. That doesn't make you a bad person. That makes you a person who's carrying something too heavy for any human being to carry alone. Put it down sometimes. Just for an hour, just for an afternoon, let someone help you. And when the end comes, however it comes, know that the relief you might feel is not a betrayal of love. It's the echo of love. It's the long exhale after years of holding your breath. It's the proof that you gave everything you had until there was nothing left to give. That's not failure. That's love. The realest kind there is. Eleanor May Harrison, September 3rd, 1947 to August 23rd, 2021. She taught 3rd grade for 15 years before she sold real estate. She made the best beef stew I've ever tasted. She laughed like bells. She remembered everyone's name, everyone's story, everyone's birthday. She doesn't remember mine anymore. That's okay. I remember hers, and I'll keep telling it. If this meant something to you, share it with someone who's in the middle of what I lived through. Let them know they're not alone. Let them know it's okay to feel everything they're feeling. And if you're one of the invisible ones, the caregivers, the exhausted, the ones who've forgotten their own names while remembering everyone else's medications, I see you. You matter. Don't disappear. Subscribe for more stories like this. Leave a comment if you've been a caregiver. We need to talk about this. We need to stop pretending it's beautiful when it's brutal. The truth doesn't make it less loving. It makes it more.